The hall was filled with noise, the kind of noise that came from greed and cruelty. Alien voices shouted, laughed, and bargained. The air smelled of sweat, metal, and fear. Lights hung above the stage, bright and merciless, exposing everything. There were cages lined against the wall, and in those cages sat beings too weak to protest. Some were silent, some cried, and some simply stared at nothing. Among them was the alien girl, her eyes wide with terror. Her hands tried to cover her body. But the guards pulled her arms away. They dragged her to the center of the stage. The crowd howled with laughter, mocking her. She trembled, her skin glowing faintly under the lights. She had no clothes, only shame. The auctioneer, a tall alien with sharp teeth, raised his hand to silence the crowd. "Here she is," he shouted, "useless to her kind, abandoned by her family. But look at her rare bloodline, rare features. She will serve someone well." His words dripped with poison. The girl closed her eyes. Wishing she could vanish, she remembered the day her family pushed her away. They said she was a burden. They said she was worthless. And now here she was, sold like an object. The crowd began shouting numbers. Some offered small amounts, only to laugh and mock. Some jeered that she wasn't worth even a piece of cloth. Her heart pounded. She prayed it would end quickly. She prayed no one would buy her, but deep down, she also feared being left behind. For being left meant death. From the back of the hall, a new figure entered. The crowd shifted, turning their heads. A human, dressed in simple travel clothes, walked in. His steps were steady, his face calm. His eyes scanned the stage. And when they stopped on the girl, something flickered in them: pity. Or maybe anger. The girl noticed him. Her heart skipped. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. She had heard stories about them. Some said humans were savages. Others said they were dangerous warriors, but none had ever said they were kind. The auctioneer laughed. "Do we have no real buyers? Come now, don't be shy. Who will take this poor thing?" He shoved the girl forward. She stumbled and nearly fell. The crowd roared with laughter. Tears burned her eyes. She wished anyone would cover her. She hugged her arms around herself again, but the guards yanked them away. Her whole body shook. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. The human watched silently, his hand clenched into a fist at his side. He saw the cruelty in the crowd, the humiliation on the girl's face. And he made a choice when the auctioneer called again for bids. The hall was strangely quiet. No one wanted to spend real money, not on her. They only wanted to watch her suffer, and then a single hand rose in the air. The humans, the crowd, went silent. A murmur spread like fire. The human? He's buying her. The auctioneer blinked, then grinned. Ah, a surprise. A human buyer, how exciting. Very well, then, sold. He slammed the hammer down. The guards pushed the girl off the stage and toward the human. She fought, terrified, thinking this was another trick. But when she reached him, something unexpected happened. He took off his long coat and placed it around her shoulders. He didn't say anything, just wrapped it gently, covering her shivering form. The girl froze. Shock rippled through her body for the first time in weeks. She felt warmth that wasn't cruel. For the first time, someone had given her dignity back. The crowd was stunned. They whispered. They laughed nervously. Some mocked the human, calling him foolish. Others said he must have strange tastes, but he ignored them. He guided the girl toward the exit. His touch was gentle, not forceful. She stumbled beside him, her mind racing. Why? Why would a human do this? What does he want? Behind them, the auctioneer's laughter echoed. Take her, human. She's yours now. But you'll regret wasting your credits on that worthless thing. The girl pulled the coat tighter around herself. Her body still trembled. Her eyes darted up at the human. He didn't look at her with hunger or cruelty. He looked forward, as if determined to get her out of that hall, and in that moment, a tiny spark lit inside her heart. It was not trust yet, not hope, but it was something she had not felt in a long time. The spark of maybe, just maybe, not being alone. The doors closed behind them, leaving the noise and cruelty inside. Ahead was silence, cold night air, and a path she had never imagined, walking beside a human who had bought her, not to break her, but to cover her. The night air outside the auction hall was cold, but the alien girl barely felt it. Her body was still shaking, her mind still trapped inside the cruel laughter of the crowd. She held the human's coat tightly around herself, the heavy fabric giving her more comfort than anything she had known in months. The human walked ahead with steady steps, not saying much. His hand rested gently on her shoulder, guiding her through the narrow streets. The people they passed stared. Some whispered in shock, others laughed or sneered. Why would a human buy her? They muttered, what could he possibly want with that worthless thing? The girl lowered her head, shame heating her cheeks. Her steps were weak, but she kept walking because the human didn't push or pull. He simply guided, patient and calm. They reached a small transport parked near the edge of the market. It was old and scratched, but it was his. The human opened the door and motioned for her to enter. She hesitated, fear gnawing at her. He noticed. His voice was calm when he spoke. You're safe now. Sit inside. His words startled her. No one had spoken kindly to her for so long. She obeyed slowly, climbing into the seat. The fabric was rough, but it felt softer than the cold auction floor. The human stepped in after her, started the engine, and the transport hummed to life as the market lights faded behind them. Silence filled the air. The girl peeked at him from the corner of her eyes. He was not like the others. His face carried scars, lines of hardship, but his eyes were steady. She could not stop herself from asking. Her voice was small, broken. Why? Why did you buy me? The human glanced at her, then back at the road. Because they were hurting you, he said simply. And no one deserves that. The girl blinked. Her heart raced. No one deserves that. That was not something her people believed. To them, she had been useless. To the crowd, she was nothing but entertainment. But this human spoke as if she mattered. She shook her head, hugging the coat tighter. You don't know me. I'm not worth anything. His jaw tightened. His hands gripped the wheel firmly. That's a lie they told you, he said. I don't care what they think. You are not property. Tears stung her eyes. She quickly turned her face away, afraid to let him see. The transport slowed as they left the noisy city behind. The road became darker, quieter. The human finally stopped near a resting point, a small shelter made of stone. He stepped out and pulled supplies from the back: food, water, a blanket. He handed the bottle of water to her. Drink, he said. His tone was not commanding, more like a request. She took it carefully. Her hands trembling, she drank small sips at first, then larger gulps. The cool water soothed her dry throat. She hadn't tasted clean water in days. The human watched silently. His eyes softened, but he said nothing. He simply let her drink. After she finished, he handed her a small packet of food. It was plain, just bread and dried meat, but to her it was a feast. She ate quickly, almost afraid it would be taken away. When she was done, she looked up at him nervously, expecting him to ask for something in return. That was always the way. Nothing was ever free, but he didn't. He simply spread his blanket on the ground and sat nearby, keeping his distance. His gaze scanned the shadows as if guarding her, not claiming her. The girl's heart ached with confusion. Why was he different? Why did he not treat her as others did? She whispered, You don't want me. The human turned to her, his brow furrowed. I don't want to own you, he replied. I want you to be safe. That's all. His words shook her. She pulled the coat tighter and curled into herself. Her mind swirled with disbelief and fear. Trust was a dangerous thing, yet a part of her wanted to believe him. As the night deepened, the silence was broken by distant voices. A group of travelers passed the shelter. Their eyes fell on the girl wrapped in the human's coat. They smirked and whispered loudly. "Look at that. The human really bought her. He must be desperate. She isn't worth even 1 coin. Maybe he's hiding her for something worse." Their laughter echoed as they walked away. The girl's body stiffened. Her hands trembled again. She waited for the human to react, to strike her, to punish her for embarrassing him. But he only shook his head. His voice was steady. "Ignore them," he said. "They know nothing." The girl's eyes widened, no anger directed at her. No violence, only calm. She lay back slowly. Her body still tense, but her heart beating differently now. The human kept watch through the night. His hand rested on his weapon, not for her, but for anything that might come near. His eyes never closed. And as the alien girl drifted into uneasy sleep, she realized something she had never thought possible. For the first time, someone had not used her, mocked her, or cast her aside. For the first time, someone had chosen to defend her, and that someone was a human. The alien girl woke with a start. Her body trembled as if the laughter from the auction still echoed in her ears. She clutched the human's coat tightly around her, breathing fast. Her heart pounded in fear. But then she saw him. The human was still awake, sitting nearby. His eyes watched the horizon where the first light of morning touched the sky. His weapon rested on his knee. But his hands were calm. He had not left her. He had not hurt her. He was still there. The girl's lips parted, but no words came out. She was not used to this silence, not used to waking up without chains pulling her. Without harsh voices shouting commands, it was strange when he noticed. She was awake. The human spoke. His voice was low and steady. "We should move. It's safer on the road than staying too long in one place." She nodded slowly, clutching the coat tighter. Her body obeyed before her mind could protest. She rose unsteadily and followed him back to the transport. Inside the vehicle, the silence returned. She kept stealing glances at him, searching for hidden cruelty, searching for the moment when his mask would fall. She had seen kindness turn to cruelty before. She knew better than to trust too quickly. Finally, she whispered, "You're going to sell me, aren't you?" The human didn't look at her. His hands remained steady on the controls. "No," he answered simply. "I won't sell you." Her breath caught. Then, "Why? Why take me?" He exhaled softly, as if searching for the right words. "Because what they did to you was wrong, and someone had to stop it." She shook her head quickly, gripping the coat. "No one stops it. No one cares. My family sold me. My people laughed at me. The crowd wanted me to die from shame. That is the truth." The human's jaw tightened. His silence stretched for a long moment. Then he said, "Sometimes the truth is cruel. But that doesn't make it right. You deserve better." His words were like fire against the ice inside her heart. She wanted to believe them, but belief was dangerous. If she believed and he betrayed her, the pain would be worse than death. Her hands shook as she whispered, "I can't trust you." "I know," he said calmly. "I don't expect you to. Trust takes time." The simple answer left her stunned. No anger, no punishment, only patience. She didn't know what to do with it. Hours passed as they drove. The road stretched empty. The world outside a blur of alien landscapes, mountains, and ruins. The silence between them grew heavy. Until the girl finally asked, "Where are you taking me?" The human replied, "Away from the city, away from the traders, somewhere safe, safe." She repeated softly. The word felt strange on her tongue, like a dream she had forgotten. But her fear refused to fade. Deep down, a voice screamed. That nothing was safe, not with strangers, not even with a human. She hugged herself tighter, as if trying to hold her heart in place. Later, when they stopped to rest again, she refused the food he offered. Her stomach growled in protest, but she shook her head, suspicion clouding her mind. What if you poisoned it? She whispered. The human looked at her in silence. His eyes reflected no anger, only sadness. Without a word, he took the bread, tore a piece, and ate it himself. Then he placed the rest in front of her. It's safe, he said. She stared at the food, her throat tight, slowly, hesitantly. She took a bite. The taste was plain, but real. Her chest ached with shame for doubting him. When she finished, she looked at him and whispered, I don't understand you. He leaned back against a rock, his gaze on the stars beginning to shine above. You don't need to understand me yet, he replied. Just know I'm not here to hurt you. Her eyes stung. She turned away quickly, afraid he would see her tears that night. As she lay wrapped in his coat, her dreams tormented her. She saw the auctioneer's teeth, her family's cold faces. The jeering crowd. She woke with a cry, trembling sweat on her brow. The human was beside her in a moment, not touching, but close. His voice was calm. You're safe. No one can hurt you here. She stared at him, her breathing ragged, her voice broke. I don't believe you. He nodded slowly. That's all right. You don't have to, but I'll prove it with time. His patience was a weapon sharper than any blade, and as she lay back down, clutching the coat, she realized something. Fear still ruled her heart. But there was a tiny fracture in the wall she had built. A fracture where his words and actions slipped through. She didn't trust him, not yet. But for the first time, she wanted to see if maybe, just maybe, she could. And in that fragile moment, the alien girl closed her eyes, caught between fear and the faint spark of something new hope. The road stretched long and empty. Dust rose behind the transport as the human drove steadily. The alien girl sat quietly, wrapped in his coat, her eyes fixed on the passing hills. She was silent, but inside her mind, storms raged. She kept thinking about his words. His calm voice echoed in her head. You are not property. He had said it with certainty, as if it was the only truth that mattered. But her heart could not believe it so easily when the transport slowed again. The human parked near a small shelter of stone and metal. It looked abandoned, but it was safe from the wind. He stepped out, pulling supplies from the back. Come, he said softly. You need rest. The girl hesitated. Her instincts screamed at her not to trust, but her body was weak. Trembling from hunger and exhaustion, she followed slowly, her bare feet touching the rough ground inside the shelter. The human spread out a blanket. He placed food on a small metal tray, bread, dried fruit, and a flask of water. He set it in front of her without a word. The girl's eyes narrowed, suspicion still burning inside her. But her stomach ached painfully. She reached for the bread with shaking hands. Nibbling carefully, the taste was simple, but it filled her empty belly. She ate quickly. Ashamed of her hunger, when she finished, she looked at him with wide eyes, expecting anger for taking too much. But he only nodded once and said, Good. Eat as much as you need. Her chest tightened. She whispered, Why? Why are you giving this to me? You don't even know me. The human looked at her with calm eyes, his voice steady, Because you are alive. And that is enough. Her throat tightened. She turned away, not wanting him to see the tears building in her eyes as night came. The air grew colder. The human built a small fire in the corner of the shelter. The flames cast a soft light on the walls. The girl curled up in his coat, staring at the fire. She remembered nights when she had been left in cages, trembling in the cold. No fire, no blanket, no kindness. Only harsh laughter and cruel hands. And now, here she was, warmed by both fire and coat. Her voice trembled as she asked, "You're not going to hurt me, are you?" The human's expression softened. "No," he said, "never." She studied his face, searching for lies. But his eyes held only truth. She wanted to believe him, but fear still chained her heart later. When she grew too tired to stay awake, she curled up near the fire, her body finally letting go of some tension. Her eyelids heavy, she drifted into sleep. The human kept watch. His gaze moved from the shadows outside to the fragile figure curled in his coat. He knew she did not trust him, not yet, but he also knew trust could not be forced. It had to be earned. Hours passed in silence. Only the crackle of fire and the whisper of wind filled the night. The girl stirred in her sleep, her lips moving as if whispering forgotten prayers. A single tear rolled down her cheek. The human sighed softly. He reached for another blanket and carefully placed it over her, his movements gentle, making sure not to wake her. When morning came, the girl woke slowly, blinking at the fire's fading glow. She found herself warm, covered not only by his coat, but by another blanket. She froze, staring at it in confusion. He was nearby, preparing food again, his back turned to her. He hadn't taken anything from her. He hadn't touched her while she slept. He had only given more. Her chest ached. She whispered, "Why do you keep helping me?" He turned slightly, his voice calm, "Because you need it, and because it's right." Her hands trembled. She pulled the coat closer, afraid of the feelings stirring in her heart. No one had ever helped her without asking for something in return. But this human gave freely, without demand. That day, as they continued on the road, she spoke a little more. Her voice was hesitant, but it broke the silence. She told him small things, how she used to love the stars, how her people once sang songs of light. He listened quietly, never interrupting. For the first time, she felt her words mattered. Her voice, once silenced, was heard, yet deep inside, fear still lingered. The world had taught her too many cruel lessons. Trust was dangerous. Kindness was rare. But the human's actions planted small seeds inside her heart. Seeds of something she thought she would never feel again: hope. And as the sun dipped low and painted the sky with gold, the alien girl realized that the path ahead was no longer just darkness. For the first time in a long time, there was light walking beside her. The road grew quieter as they left the city far behind. The markets, the laughter, and the cruel voices faded into memory. Only the sound of the engine and the hum of the wind filled the air. The alien girl sat close to the window, staring at the endless horizon. Her hands clutched the human's coat tightly. But her mind was far away. The human noticed her silence. He did not speak. He let her have her space, but he could feel the weight pressing on her. He had seen eyes like hers before, carrying more than fear. They carried sorrow, shame, and something deeper. When they stopped to rest that evening, the girl sat near the fire, her gaze fixed on the flames, her lips pressed tightly together as if words fought inside her but could not escape. The human placed food near her and sat across, waiting for a long time. She did not speak, but then, in a trembling voice, she whispered, "Do you want to know why I was there?" The human met her eyes, his voice calm. "Only if you want to tell me." Her breath shook. Her fingers twisted the edge of his coat. "They sold me," she said softly, "my own family." The words hung heavy in the night. She felt them burn. As they left her mouth, her eyes filled with tears. "They said I was a burden. They said I was useless. They laughed when they signed the papers. My father didn't even look at me." Her body shook with each word. Memories flooded back. Cold touch of chains. The sound of her mother's voice saying she was worth less than food. The eyes of her siblings looking away, pretending not to see. The human's jaw clenched. His fists tightened. He looked into the fire, his face shadowed by the flames. He did not interrupt. He let her pour it out. They dragged me into that hall, she continued, her voice breaking. And they stripped me. They laughed as they did it. My own people, my own blood. They told me no one would want me, that even if I lived, it would be worse than death. Her tears spilled, dripping onto the coat, and they were right. The crowd laughed. No one bid. I thought I would die on that stage. The fire cracked, filling the silence. Her sobs shook her chest. She hugged herself, curling tighter into the coat. For a long moment, the human said nothing. His silence was not empty, it was heavy. Filled with anger, he kept locked inside. Finally, he spoke, his voice low, steady, but trembling with restrained fury. They were wrong. The girl blinked through her tears, staring at him. He leaned forward, his eyes blazing in the firelight. They were cowards. To sell their own, to laugh at your pain, that is not strength. That is weakness. Don't believe their lies. Her heart pounded. No one had ever spoken like that for her. No one had ever stood against her family's words. But, she whispered, if my own family gave me away, then maybe I really am worthless. The human's hand slammed against the stone beside him. The sound sharp in the night. His eyes burned. No, he said firmly, you are not worthless. They treated you like property because it was easier than facing their own failures. They were blind, but I see you. You are alive, and that is worth more than anything. Her breath caught. She stared at him as tears flowed silently down her cheeks. His words cut through the chains wrapped around her heart. The firelight danced across his face. He did not look away from her. His gaze was fierce, but not cruel, protective, not possessive. Slowly, she whispered, why do you care? His voice softened, because someone should, and because I refuse to let them decide your worth. The girl covered her face with her hands. Her body trembled with quiet sobs. For the first time, she did not cry alone. For the first time, someone listened and did not turn away. The human stayed close, not touching her, but guarding her with his presence. He let her cry, let her break, knowing that from broken pieces something new could rise. When her tears finally slowed, she lay back, her voice small. You don't know what it's like to be hated by your own blood. The human's eyes softened. His voice was quiet but steady. You're wrong, he said. I know exactly what that feels like. She turned her head, surprised. But his face was unreadable in the shadows. He did not explain. He only added, but I learned that family is not always the people you're born to. Sometimes, family is the ones who choose to stand with you. Her chest tightened. Her eyes searched his face, but she found no lie, only truth. The night grew darker, but inside the small shelter, something had shifted. The girl no longer felt completely alone with her pain. Her story once locked in. Her heart now rested in the ears of someone who cared. And though fear still lingered, a fragile thread now connected her to the human. A thread stronger than chains, woven not from force, but from listening. For the first time, she began to wonder. He could see worth in her. Maybe one day, she could see it too. The next morning came with a pale sky and a quiet wind. The alien girl rose slowly. Still wrapped in the human's coat, her eyes were swollen from crying the night before. But her heart felt a little lighter. She had spoken her pain, and someone had listened for the first time. She did not carry the weight alone. The human packed their supplies and started the transport. His movements were calm as always, steady and sure. The girl followed, sitting silently beside him. Her trust had not fully formed, but something inside her had shifted as they drove. Into the outskirts of a larger settlement, whispers began again. People noticed her. People noticed the human. Their eyes followed, filled with judgment and disbelief. They say the human bought her. One merchant sneered. He wasted good credits on that worthless thing. Another laughed. Maybe he wants to sell her later for more. Someone muttered. Others shook their heads, whispering that no. Human could be trusted. The girl's face burned with shame. She lowered her head, hiding inside the coat. Her heart pounded. Fear returned like a shadow. What if they turned on him? What if they took her back? The human noticed her trembling. He reached one hand across the seat, not touching, but close enough for her to feel his steady presence. Ignore them, he said firmly. They don't decide anything for us, but... The crowd did not ignore them. Soon, 3 aliens blocked their way. Their faces twisted with greed and mockery. One pointed at the girl. She belongs to our kind. Give her back, human. She's no good for you. The human stepped out of the transport, his figure calm but unshaken. His voice low and firm. She is not yours. She is not property. She comes with me. The aliens laughed harshly. One spit on the ground. Do not speak of property. Human, she is weak, broken, useless. You cannot hide her forever. Better too. Hand her over now before trouble comes. The girl cowered inside the transport. Her breath quickened. Her hands clutched the coat desperately. She had seen confrontations like this before. They always ended with her being dragged away, but this time was different. The human stood tall. His eyes steady. You will not touch her, he said. His hand rested lightly on his weapon. Not drawing it yet, but making his meaning clear. The merchant sneered. Do you think one human can stand against us all? His voice was cold as steel. I don't think, he said. I know. The silence that followed was heavy. The crowd watched with wide eyes. The human's defiance was not loud, but it carried weight. He did not back down. He did not bend. The 3 aliens muttered angrily, but in the end, they stepped back. Their courage cracked under the fire in his eyes. They spat curses and swore revenge before slinking away into the crowd. The girl's heart raced. She could not believe what she had seen. The human had stood against them without fear. He had faced their hatred and refused to give her up. When he returned to the transport, she stared at him, her lips trembling. Why? She whispered, why risk yourself for me? He sat back in his seat, started the engine, and said quietly, because you're worth it. Her throat tightened. Tears burned in her eyes. She turned her face away, overwhelmed by feelings she did not understand. But their trouble was not over. Rumors spread quickly by the time night fell. Word had traveled through the settlement. The human had bought the alien girl and refused to sell her back. Some saw it as foolishness, others as an insult. Later, as they prepared to rest near the edge of town, a shadowy figure approached. His voice was sharp with greed. Human, sell her to me. I'll pay double what you spent. The human shook his head calmly. She's not for sale. The merchant's smile turned dark. Triple then. Think carefully. You could walk away rich. The girl froze. Her breath stuck in her chest. Her whole body shook as she waited. For his answer, she had been sold so many times in her nightmares, she expected it again. But the human's voice was steady. I said no. She is not an object. She is not for sale. The merchant's eyes narrowed. His smile twisted. Then, you've made an enemy. Human, you'll regret this. With that, he disappeared into the shadows. The girl hugged herself tighter, her eyes wide with fear. They won't stop, she whispered. They will come back. They always do. The human met her gaze, his eyes unyielding. Then let them come, he said. I'll protect you. The weight of his words struck her like a storm. He spoke them not as a promise of comfort, but as a vow of iron for the first time in her life. Someone had declared they would stand for her, no matter what. As the night deepened, she lay. Near the fire again, her body curled beneath his coat, her mind still heavy with fear. But somewhere beneath the fear, a fragile warmth grew. The warmth of being defended. The warmth of being valued, and though danger loomed in the shadows, for the first time she felt the world was not entirely against her, because beside her sat a human who had chosen to fight. Not for gold, not for power, but for her. The night was quiet, too quiet. The human knew silence like this was never safe. He sat near the small fire, his eyes fixed on the darkness. His hand rested on his weapon, steady and calm beside him. The alien girl lay curled under his coat. Her breathing soft but restless. She stirred in her sleep, whispering broken words. Shadows of her past chased her even in dreams. Her body trembled. But when her hand brushed against the fabric of his coat, she calmed slightly, as if his presence pushed the nightmares away. But danger was already moving. From the edge of the settlement, the merchants who had been humiliated earlier gathered. Their faces twisted with anger. They carried weapons, crude but deadly. Their voices low as they planned. "She belongs to us," one hissed. "The human thinks he can steal from us," another growled. "We'll take her back tonight. Leave his body in the dirt." The human heard them before he saw them. His ears sharpened by years of survival, he rose quietly, positioning himself. Between the girl and the approaching shadows, his body calm, but his eyes cold with steel. The girl woke suddenly, sensing something wrong. Her heart raced as she saw him standing tall, weapon ready. "What's happening?" She whispered, her voice trembling. "Stay behind me," he said firmly. "Don't move." Shapes emerged from the darkness. Torches flickering, blades glinting. The merchant stepped forward. Sneering, "Hand her over. Human, you had your fun. Now give her back before you get hurt." The girl's blood ran cold. Her body shook. She had heard those words before, always followed by pain and chains. Her eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "They'll take me. They always do." But the human did not move. His voice rang out like iron. "No, not tonight, not ever." The attackers laughed. But their laughter was cut short when he raised his weapon, his stance unshaken, his eyes burning with a fire they had never seen. The fight was sudden, quick, and brutal. The first attacker rushed forward, but the human struck him down with a single blow. Another tried to circle around, but the human's movements were sharp, precise. He fought like someone who had lived through countless battles. Someone who knew exactly how to end them. The girl crouched low, watching with wide eyes. Fear and awe battled inside her. She had never seen anyone fight for her, never seen anyone risk their life for her safety. One merchant shouted in desperation, "Why risk everything for her? She's nothing." The human's reply came like thunder. "She is not nothing. She is everything you will never be." The words cut deeper than any blade. The attackers faltered, but desperation drove them. They fought harder. But the human did not yield. His strength and will pushed them back. His fists and strikes fell with purpose, not for glory, but for protection, at last. The final attacker fled into the darkness, cursing, wounded, defeated. The night grew still again. The human lowered his weapon slowly, breathing hard, his face bruised, his body marked with cuts. But he was standing. The girl ran to him, her eyes wide with fear and relief. "You're hurt," she whispered. Her hands trembled as they reached toward him, but stopped short. Afraid to touch, he looked down at her, his eyes soft despite the pain. "I've been hurt before. This is nothing," he said. Her chest ached, tears blurred her vision. "You fought for me," she whispered. "You could have let them take me, but you didn't." His voice was steady, gentle, "Because you're not theirs to take. You're free, and I'll keep it that way." The girl's body shook with sobs. But these tears were different. They were not of fear, but of release, for the first time. The chains in her heart broke. For the first time, she believed his words. She clutched the coat tighter around herself. Then whispered, "You gave me back what I lost. You gave me my dignity." Her voice cracked. "No one has ever done that for me." The human placed a hand gently on her shoulder, not forcing, not claiming, just steady. "You don't owe me anything," he said, "but if you want a new beginning, you'll have it. You'll walk forward, not as property, but as a person." Her heart swelled with emotions she had no words for. She looked at him with trembling lips, then whispered, "Then let me walk beside you." His eyes softened. He gave a single nod. "Then beside me, you will walk." The night faded slowly into dawn. The fire crackled low. The wind carried away the whispers of the attackers. And in that silence, the alien girl took her first true step into freedom. She was no longer the trembling figure on the auction stage. No longer the abandoned child, stripped of dignity. She was someone who had been seen, defended, and given a chance to live again. And though the galaxy remained harsh and cruel, she knew now that she was not alone. Beside her was a human who had chosen to stand against it. Not for profit, not for pride, but for her. And together, they stepped into a new beginning.